Anthony Kebagendi, Member of Parliament for Kitutu Chache South and a member of the Health Committee. And today I'm here to also disclose that there is something bigger than what you've been seeing on media about the Adani Group. The Social Health Authority is about to aid some foreign companies to swindle Kenyans an amount totaling 104 billion Kenya shillings. And these companies are also associated with a said businessman from India. And I can tell you today that in the Health Committee, as a member of that committee, I have been asking the PS, Ministry of Health, to provide us with tender documents for the system that the ministry is trying to procure for the Social Health Authority, which will cost Kenyans 104 billion shillings. And the PS has not been able. Instead, they went on, just like what we saw with the Kenya Airports Authority, to do what is called single sourcing to companies that have never provided a social health authority system anywhere in the world. And most of these companies were registered in Kenya just the other day after they had even signed the deal. So today, there is no clear explanation as to why Safaricom, singularly identified as a strategic partner, even though its day-to-day work does not revolve around the core aspects of the tender document, such as claims management, telemedicine, and emergency response. Although Safaricom is the lead bidder, the main scope of work under the tender document is not being performed by Safaricom. And rather, these functions are being allocated to Appiero Limited, who is a partner in the tripartite consortium. The experience that the ministry relied on to award this tender to a consortium was primarily based on experience of Appiero. However, Appiero's experience is not directly associated with it. They are brokers in this deal. This is not their core mandate. They also have other companies behind it. It is not clear who owns the procured system, how the consortium will recover its monies under the strategic partnership with the Ministry of Health. Even though the Ministry of Health indicated that one of the reasons is to choose Safaricom is for credit financing procurement applied. We don't have any documents for that. We sit in the Health Committee that is supposed to look at all these documents, but we have never gotten this. What we also want to know, why did the ministry, in the negotiation of the tender with the consortium, not seek to reduce the amount quoted by Safaricom? Because 104 billion shillings, for what? Even the most sophisticated military systems in the world don't cost the amount we are looking at. So we go on to ask, did the Office of the Attorney General give clearance for the execution of this contract? The Office of the Attorney General was not involved in this particular deal, which demonstrates the gravity of the matter in terms of the corruption involved. The Health CS never informed the Cabinet and National Treasury of this project as required in the Asset Disposal Act. In the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act, in relation to the contract of over 5 billion shillings. This was not shared with the Cabinet and the Treasury. And the other thing is that the ministry's choice of specially permitted procurement procedure and the National Treasury's approval of this method of procurement really in public interest? Is it in public interest, that is? Regulation 107 of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act is categorical that the National Treasury may permit where such procedure is in public interest or interest of the national security. the two institutions use the SPP procedure and consider or compare it with methods procured that encourage openness and accountability in the procurement process? Absolutely not. And these companies have not provided a system of such magnitude anywhere in the world. Again, I would like to state that I sit in the Health Committee. Since the year began, or from the commencement of formulation of the laws to do with what came to be the Social Health Authority, committee members have been trying to find out how and why we are moving from NHIF to Social Health Authority. We have consistently been given ambiguous answers. And out of that, we went on to ask the ministry to give us what we call the procurement, the tender documents for this particular system. And they said they even advertised in newspapers. We asked them for newspaper cuttings. They were unable to produce. We asked them if they've ever done any public participation sittings anywhere in the country. They were not able to produce even photographs of a public participation for people within the ministry. People within the ministry. Nobody gave ideas, nobody gave their opinion. Even professionals from within the ministry never gave their opinion. And as you go further, you realize they are rushing to launch this thing on Tuesday so that this contract can come into effect before Kenyans can actually scrutinize it. We are being forced to pay 2.75% of our earnings into a pool that will be used to pay these Asians that want to take advantage of Kenyans. Did government or the ministry ask young Kenyans, Gen Zs in this country, who came up with the ideas of M-Pesa, ideas of Fuliza, ideas of M-Shwari, to put up a system for this particular, for the ministry or for Social Health Authority, and they were unable? Why did they go out there to single source? We have asked the PS, Mr. Mutai, consistently, and he's not been able to give us answers for this particular for this particular procurement, and why we are even moving from NHIF to Social Health Authority. We try to encourage them to actually reform NHIF and have these departments, have the emergency department, have the digital and the primary healthcare as departments within NHIF. But they were so determined to push for this agenda because of this contract. This is where we are saying it is high time. We are calling on Kenyans once more, like you did in June. Please step up and push this government from implementing this fraudulent Social Health Authority on Tuesday. They'll be taking our money from our pay slips and you will not be getting the services. It is the ministry. The problem is the ministry. Anybody can win the tender. But as we speak, the companies that are being given this particular responsibility, there was no tender. There was no tender so that you apply, I apply, and they apply, and then they win. But these companies, the deal was struck before even they registered in this country as business entities. And if I may inform you, Safaricom, who are the lead in this consortium, have the least shareholding at 17%. Apiero has the most. It was registered in Dubai last year, and this year, in May this year, is when they were registered in Kenya. We don't know who are benefiting. We want to know who are the owners of Apiero in Kenya. These are the people who are being used to swindle money from the Social Health Authority pool. That is why they are pushing this thing to be launched as soon as possible. He has totally refused to give us those documents. What you have is what has been picked in social media. I equally have that. But I can tell you the ministry, why is the ministry hiding this information from the public? Even you didn't get it from the ministry. The ministry is supposed to provide this to the committee, to the health committee that has requested for this for the past 5 months. We have consistently written through our clerk, the clerk of the health committee, for the ministry to provide these documents. To the extent, today in our sitting, before I made a decision to come here, every member was agitated that the ministry was asked to produce documents. Instead, they sent us a letter of why they thought it was prudent to do single sourcing. They have never produced those documents, and we have again summoned them on Monday. I don't believe they'll be coming on Monday.
If there's someone benefiting from this, you might have that knowledge. Just who's benefiting? Because
these Apiero people, we want to know who they are and why they got the deal before they could even register in Kenya, and why there was in there a tender and a demonstration from the ministry that we have this system, NHIF system that we use currently. What we want is an addition of 1, 2, 3 into this system. Who can help us improve on this system so that we pay them this amount of money? This is what we have. That way, if this gentleman wants the same deal at an amount more than what the ministry will have quoted, then they'll be locked out. You do single sourcing. But you cannot do single sourcing before you demonstrate to the rest of the world what kind of system you need. And these people, like I've said, have not provided this service anywhere else in the world.
Where does the buck stop?
The buck stops with the Ministry of Health.
Not the president.
The president, of course, is the CEO of this country.
But you're not mentioning.
My focus is on the ministry. 4 billion shillings. Which system costs 104 billion shillings? They sent us the document. Today they sent us a story, a prose of why they thought it was necessary to single source, and the amount, 104 billion Kenya shillings.
As you are calling upon Kenyans, and all Kenyans to come out to stop the wrong, are you contemplating maybe going to court to stop that?
I believe there are people who have already gone to court as we speak, but it was necessary, and it is necessary for Kenyans to know that we have this problem at hand. Just like we have seen with what is happening. Why I've had to come here today is because this thing is being rushed. The launch is on Tuesday. They want to do it as soon as possible. And why are we increasing the amount today of the amount we are paying to NHIF, to Social Health Authority? When NHIF that we've been paying, is it a certain fraction, 500 for regular and, and the various other cadres, and NHIF went on to even invest funds from this pool, and now we want to increase the amount. For what reason? It is a mongrel, and Kenyans need to know. And those that are involved in this deal, please stop taking advantage of Kenyans.
Random Kenyan would have just asked how much is enough, because the president said enough is enough. Wakenya wamejaziwa vitu vingi back to back, happening back to back.
Now that is where I want to tell the president this. You cannot force change of everything in such a short time. You want a new funding model for universities in record time. You want to change the medical insurance system in record time. You are changing the education system in record time. You want to give out, lease our ports in record time. You want to lease out the airports in record time. You can't do that. It is not possible. Change has to be gradual. You can't. Even new members of the Fourth Estate, please go on and inform the people the right things. Expose the rot that is going on in this government. It is so unfortunate. If we don't speak, some are even telling us that they'll deal with us. God will also deal with you.
Amen.
Thank you.